Good morning, children. Class 7, lesson number 6, 100 years sleep. Page number 33 and 34, part 3. The years roll on, and Dreamland came under the rule of another family. Many men had tried to reach the old palace, but the hedge of wild rose did not let him pass. At last, the 100 years were coming to an end. One day, the king's only son was out hunting. He saw from a high hill the towers of the old palace. He asked many men and women about it, but none could tell him the true story, for all who had seen or known Mohini had died long ago. At last, he found an old man whose grandfather had told him about the sleeping princess. The time for her to wake up is very near, said the old man. But only a king's son can enter the palace and break the spell of the witch. You must be the prince for whom Mohini has been waiting since she fell into a swoon. Then the prince and his men rode off in haste towards the old palace. As he came to the thick hedge, it opened to let him pass, but closed again, so that none of his men could follow him. Along he entered the palace, where everything was as fresh and beautiful as it had been 100 years before, but as silent as a grave. The prince passed the sleeping soldiers at the gate. He crossed the courtyard with his sleeping dogs. He walked to the rooms where the sleeping servants were waiting. At last, he entered the room of the sleeping princess herself. He bent over her and gently touched her forehead with his lips. At once, she opened her eyes and smiled and said, "Ah, it is you, my prince. I have been waiting for you for a long time." Suddenly, the whole palace was filled with various kinds of noises. The servants woke up and went on with their work where they had stopped, just as if nothing had happened. The fire burnt up brightly in the kitchen. The dogs barked and waved their tails. The pigeons cooed and flew away. The horses went on eating their hay, and the soldiers continued their march at the gate. The prince looked out of the window and saw his servants waiting for him. The magic hedge was no longer there. Then he led Mohini to the great hall of the palace, where dinner was ready, and told her all that had happened. The news that the sleeping princess had been woke from her 100 years sleep spread all over Dreamland quickly. Then the king and the queen came to old palace and took Mohini to their own palace, and there she was married to the prince, and in due time she became queen of Dreamland. She was very happy, and so was the prince, her husband. नीचे वर्ड मीनिंग दिए गए हैं, शब्दार्थ दिए हैं. बच्चे इसे अपने नोट कॉपी में लिखेंगे और इसे सीखेंगे. बच्चे इस वीडियो को देखकर पढ़ना सीखेंगे. नेक्स्ट वीडियो में मैं आपको हिंदी में समझाऊंगी. थैंक यू.